It is 4:32, and I'm calling this meeting of the Wakefield Youth Council into order. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. All right, so I'm going to go through the attendance. Thomas? Here. Declan?
Here.
Nathaniel?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Jonathan?
Here.
Michaela?
Here.
Ahmed? Sophia? Oh, she said she'd be absent. Olivia?
Here.
Emily?
Here.
Marcelo? Nico said he'd be absent. Ellie also said she'd be absent. Laurel?
Here.
And Ava.
Here.
So we're gonna get started with item 4. So that is municipal voting age reduction initiative research presentation, which will be followed by a discussion on our next steps, which would be community outreach. So we had 4. So at our last meeting, we had 4 people take on different tasks of researching different areas of the potential voting age reduction initiative. So I'm going to give these 4 people, Emily, Nico, Parker, and Ava, an opportunity to kind of present their research, and then this research will be made public. So that way, and I will compile this research, and then we'll make it public to kind of demonstrate our progress so far with our initiative. So does anyone want to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
So I was in charge of the reduction effectiveness and increasing civic engagement. So what I found is in many states that reducing the voting age initiative to 16 years old is very effective, because these are our next generation of leaders, and these young teens will already get a head start at political representation. And with this effectiveness, I found that as they get older, they'll feel more comfortable with voting because they've already done it at 16. And 4 states now permit people under 21 to vote. Georgia and Kentucky set the age at 18, Alaska set it at 19, and Hawaii set it at 20. And some parts of California, I found, like Oakland and Berkeley, are allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to participate in school board elections. And they're doing this because they believe that 16-year-olds are just as knowledgeable on civics as adults. So I'm like, across the country, I've seen that it's been a wide scope of young teens wanting to vote and stuff and having access to that. And then with increasing civic engagement, lowering the voting age has caused some states to see an uptick in civic engagement because the youth can finally share their voices and be heard to the public. I found that the Newark City Council has already approved the idea of lowering the voting age for school elections. This was in New Jersey, I believe. I found from an article that a professor was explaining that 16-year-olds know as much on average about their political systems and are as capable of voting rationally as those who are allowed to vote. And I've just found more information of just kids getting involved in democracy more. And if we lower the voting age, it's gonna make more kids want to vote each and every year.
Thank you, Ava. Does anyone have any questions for Ava? So who would like to go next? Yeah, Nathaniel.
Yes, so I'm presenting on behalf of Nico, excuse me, who wasn't here today. So his document says, for pros, it allows youth it allows youth to have more of a voice in Wakefield by allowing us to choose who makes the new legislature and yeah, etc. And it develops voting habits in the youth, therefore strengthening habits in the future. And at age 16, you can work and therefore pay taxes. So therefore, you can have more of a say on how much you give in town. Those are the pros for Nico, and the cons. Youth, some youth cannot and aren't mature enough, and therefore will vote and will vote just based on other people, what other people tell them, and are easily swayed. And some people just might not go. So yeah, that is Nico's research.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you, Nathaniel. Who would like to go next? Yeah, Emily.
I had the different examples of the voting age reduction in the US, and I noticed that like over the past decade especially, that several places in the US have like taken steps towards lowering the voting age to 16 for local elections. And they're definitely seeing like a big growth in I think as Ava said, like they're more mature now and like they're ready for like elections when they're 18 and up. And then Maryland has been like the leader kind of this movement. It had the first city in the nation to do so in 2013. And they had 8 cities who lowered the voting age to 16. There's also one example of a city in Vermont that approved a change to lower the voting age to 16 for local elections, which was also passed by voters and is now pending state level approval. And in Oakland and Berkeley, California, they passed measures to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in school board elections, but they're facing delays like due to administrative and legal challenges and changes. And then also New York and New Jersey, they also introduced legislation in 2021 to lower the voting age for school board elections. And the Boston initiative in November of 2022, the Boston City Council voted 9-4 in favor of a home rule petition, which is when like a city or a town asks the state or government to like for permission to make a change that they can't legally do on its own, to lower the voting age to 16 and 17. And I said that the initiative reflects a strong push for youth inclusion in local decision making. However, for this measure to take effect, we're still waiting on signatures from Mayor Michelle Wu and the approval of the Massachusetts legislator.
Thank you, Emily. That was great. Does anyone have any questions for Emily? All right, thank you. And now we have Parker.
So I had what processes like was needed to do a home rule petition. So in the steps I have, a petition obviously must be drafted first by the town council or by us. Then it can either be approved by voters. We could have a vote in town, or it could be approved in a town meeting, whichever we decide. We can have a public vote. Obviously, we don't need one though. If we have a vote, we need to have more than half the votes to pass, in favor to pass. Then if that vote does get passed or approved in a town meeting, you can have it like the act restricted like by the state, like not allowing it to edit it. Unrestricted, like fully allowing it, or like a hybrid, which is like a medium. And then if it is passed at a local level, then it can be forwarded to a local representative so they can present it on our behalf in the state legislature. And then if it is signed at the state legislature, then the governor can either veto it, pocket veto, or sign it. If they veto, a 2/3 vote by the Senate and the House will approve it, and if it is signed, it will go into effect 90 days after it is signed by the governor.
Thank you, Parker. Does anyone have any questions for Parker? Right. So thank you, the four of you, for taking the time to compile all this really important research. I believe that this puts us at the end of phase one of our plan for the municipal voting age reduction initiative. I believe that a lot of what you all covered is truly beneficial to the process that we're seeking to undertake here, to really understand the different positions. And I think that the various processes in how this would be undertaken, how other cities and towns have done this, and how it generally, based on what I've heard today, it generally would benefit the entire community. I think it's something that we should continue as we move on to our next steps. So does anyone have any questions before I talk about like some next steps? So based on the initial plan that we kind of talked about at one of our previous meetings, kind of separating this into phases, the next phase would be to engage with the community on their kind of opinions, gathering feedback on if this would be something that youth would take advantage of. And so something that I was thinking of pursuing would be a survey that we could send out to the Wakefield High School and any other, and make available to all Wakefield youth that are not just at the Wakefield High School, to kind of gauge their interest in voting based on their age level, right? Like, because the way that we would be framing this would be to lower the voting age to 16 if that's what we ultimately decide to pursue. And so kind of examining the different age groups, right? Like people that are like students that are 18 and older, we could ask them a specific set of questions. Like if they had the opportunity to vote sooner, would they have taken advantage of that? Or have they engaged in town elections already? And then for the 16 to 17-year-old age group, we could pursue a similar thing. Like if you have the opportunity, would you vote? Or how would you necessarily use this this political power to your benefit or to benefit the community? And then again, for high school students that are under the age of 16, that might be 14 or 15, that might be starting to become more involved in their community and wanting to learn the process to effectively advocate through voting. And so that's something that we could do to specifically gather youth feedback. So what does everyone think about that? Yeah, Michaela.
I think that's a great idea. I think we also should get some input from adults and how
That was gonna be
adults think
easy.
of it. Yeah, so we can put that on as part of the survey too. Like, what's your age? So like eight, obviously, like you said, like 18 and old, not just 18-year-olds, but like 18 and older. I'm really impressed by the information that everyone was given. So I was thinking, when we put out that survey, we can post on our social media about, the survey and to fill it out, just so, it can go around. And then with that, we can put some of the information that we found on the same post, and we can talk about like maybe like the pros or the cons or whatever. Just so people are like educated about it,
Yeah.
before they fill out the survey, because it's important to, be educated about something before you kind of write your thoughts down. So.
Yeah, certainly. I think that would be great once we have that compiled research to then kind of translate it into something that would be kind of easier for people to see on social media.
Mhm.
I think that would be great before people fill out that survey. Does anyone else have any comments? Oh yeah, Parker.
I would also say, like, maybe in the survey we could put down, like, would you vote, like, based on your opinions, or like other people, like, not just based on your parents or your friends or like your siblings. Like, I hope everyone would be honest. Like, I assume most people would. So maybe we could do something like that.
Yeah, I get what you mean, like kind of like assessing like someone's like personal, like how they, if they believe that they're mature enough to vote, kind of in that vein. I think that's what you're kind of getting at. Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea too. Yeah.
So I like a combination of basically all these ideas, and I was thinking with like Michaela said, with information, we could like put the information that like us four found and be like, we've had like youth already like working on this, and like this is like what they found, and like share like our voices of like the information we've been researching, because that will help kind of like people give more of an honest opinion. And like I feel like what we could do is we could email like adults at the families at the high school, and like obviously email like the survey to all the high schoolers. And I know like the school year's coming to an end and there's probably not that many like advisory periods left, but maybe during advisory, we could like dedicate it to like them filling it out, or like they could just fill it out in their free time or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I like that idea a lot. And I think that combining all these different elements and even potentially incorporating it into like a specific time of the day
Yeah.
would be definitely beneficial to
Mhm.
seeing more people kind of respond and fill it out.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments before I move on to like the next piece of the discussion? Okay, so, and then moving on just from like the youth point, there's also a lot of other government stakeholders that would have some opinion, some say in this entire process. So collecting community feedback also via a survey or by other means is also crucial for the adult population of Wakefield, whether they be involved in the town government or just citizens in the community that would want to express themselves on this issue. So I would also recommend that we pursue a community survey for specifically for adults in the community. And at the same time, this might be something as as all of you keep meeting with your liaisons, might be something beneficial to bring up with them, even to just bring forward kind of what the youth council is doing to them, continuing that interboard communication that's so crucial with the liaison work. And also something I wanted to bring up was, Thomas, you're the liaison to town clerk,
Mhm.
right? And the
Yeah.
town clerk maintains the voter rolls, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you could talk with her about kind of how shifting the voting age to 16 just for municipal elections, kind of how that would impact like the voting system
Mhm.
and kind of the work that she does.
Yeah, I'll contact Miss Sheeran and see if I can set up a meeting to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Liz.
I wondered too, Thomas, might be interesting to find out the population of Wakefield and how many people vote now.
Yeah, I'll write that down and talk to Miss Sheeran about it.
Yeah, that would be great. All right. So does anyone have any other questions or comments? Actually, before I go to that, kind of for a timeline for this next phase, I think it's important to get this phase done before the end of this youth council period, so that way we have enough time to assess for us, like assess based on like the information that all of us have carried out before the end of our term, so that we were able to make a decision on whether we want to recommend this go to like a town meeting, or if we want to recommend this go another way. So for a timeline, do we think that we should try to get the survey out perhaps in May, and then try to compile the results to present at our June meeting, where we would be able to make a decision based on what we want to do, based on all the research and then the community feedback?
I think we maybe try to get it out before next meeting date,
Next meeting date, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
just so that the process kind of like expedited, just
Yeah.
a tad bit faster.
Yeah, so get it out before our May meeting. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and adding on to that, maybe also before seniors leave too. I know
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
very end of May, so our next meeting might be before, like way before then, but try to get it done, like to get the survey out before our next meeting day and with the seniors leaving.
Yeah, definitely. Now, does anyone have any questions or comments that they'd like to make? Yeah, Parker.
I also support the idea of like a survey. Like maybe we could, it's probably too late now, but maybe like bring it up to a town board person or chairman and like try to get it out. Like, or we could contact the town clerk and just try to get a quick vote out or survey out. I don't know, like all the like laws out and like all the logistics of it, but if we could try to do something like that.
Yeah, I can talk with because I'm the liaison to the town council, so I could speak with my liaison there to gauge what the town council feels about this, perhaps ask him to bring it up at a town council meeting, just to discuss, not necessarily for them to take any sort of formal vote on it, but just to bring it forward to their attention that we are progressing with this. Yeah. Did I see another hand? Oh yeah, Nathaniel.
Yeah, so would this be something where we would have to delegate positions again, or would it be more of, since it's a survey, would it be more of a one-person job?
I think since it's dealing with communication with the external community, I think that's specifically in the chair's duties. So I don't think that we would have to delegate authorities again for this specific task. But I think that as long as we keep bringing it forward to at our next meeting in May, perhaps if we to make sure that we get it out beforehand, perhaps that's something that we could reflect on and discuss then to kind of see next steps if we wanted to delegate something again. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Oh, yeah. Kayla.
I will say, for those of you who researched, if you could try to send me any of your notes that you have, if it's like organized somewhere, like either like if it's electronically, like send it to me like on like Google Drive or something, or if it's like on paper, like take a picture of it so that I can kind of analyze like the information and compile it into all one post. So that we can get that post out with alongside with the survey. So if you guys could do that, that would be great. Thank you.
And I was just I was just about to say that too with just to make sure if you did not send your research to me yet, to make sure that you send it so that way I can also compile that into like a written document so that way it can be sent to the community. And then so you can kind of take that and then make it into the social media posts. Yeah. And perhaps we could also get a press release out there in the newspaper just to let the community know where our progress stands with this. I think that would be beneficial based on the research that we've undertaken so far. Does anyone else have any comments or questions before we move on from this agenda item? All right, thank you, everyone. So next, we have liaison updates. Just first, I know, Nathaniel, you have some liaison updates from the school committee.
Yes, so here, let me just quickly check my email so I can remember all of it. Let's see. So they approved the district budget request, and it will go before the town council, or it has last night. They approved the request for later start times for the high school to start at 8:15, and they expect that the late start time should apply to the 2026-2027 academic school year. High school construction continues and is on budget, slightly ahead of schedule, which is good. And yeah, that's town elections are next Tuesday. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, thank you, Nathaniel. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Nathaniel? Okay. Does anyone else have any liaison updates? Yeah.
So I met with Officer Malone, I think like before Christmas break, just getting the idea out of trying to have like a first responders day thing, kind of like how we do have the college fairs. Not really college fairs, but different colleges will come and talk to students interested in like how to apply to admission stuff. So something kind of like that, but how to like get started if you don't want to necessarily go the college route, if you want to become like a police officer, a firefighter, or like work in EMS. So it got a little delayed, but I think juniors and seniors, I believe, got an email today from Mr. Robinson about like the first responders day. So I have my mom coming in as a paramedic, Officer Malone coming in as a firefighter, and then Lieutenant Bivens from the fire department just to come and talk about how like how like you can get started in that, just like day to day, what they do, like why they're obviously like they're important because they're the first responders, but why exactly they're like some people consider the most important people in emergencies. So just like the fun things that they all get to do each day. That will be on April 30th. Pretty sure that's not April 30th, sorry, April 29th. I believe that's a Tuesday. And then so it'll be open for just juniors and seniors in the Savings Bank Theater where they'll do a presentation. And then I'm trying to get the lower library reserved, and then during D block, so like when everyone has lunch, anyone like in all 4 grades can come down and just like talk with them individually. If they have any questions, they can ask, and then just so everyone gets the chance. But instead of like taking time out of everyone's day, it's just primarily for students who are getting closer to deciding what they want to do. Yeah.
Thank you, Liv. It's great to hear that, because I remember you talking about this back at one of our previous meetings. I'm glad to hear that you pursued it and it's coming to fruition now. So it's definitely great to hear that. And I believe that this will be a very beneficial opportunity for the students of the Wakefield High. So I think, do you think it would be beneficial if we did a social media post
Yeah.
that could be picked up potentially by Wakefield, by the Wakefield High page
Yeah.
that could promote this?
Yeah, and then there's a link to the sign up. I don't know if like you want to put that in the bio of or the caption. Just to like, so because we have it to either sign up through a Google form or to go to guidance to sign up, just so we have like a rough idea of how many people are going to be there.
I do know that Ms. Ho runs the Wakefield High account, like the official Wakefield High account, so I'll talk to her tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for Liv? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely well done. Yeah, thank you. All right. So
Wait, sorry, I just remembered. I made a flyer. It didn't get in that email, and I don't know if it's going to go around the school, but if you can use that
yeah,
post for either the Instagram or for the high school, the whole like public schools Instagram.
okay, yeah, yeah. If you want to send that to
Yeah.
me, that would be perfect. Yeah, thank you. Right. Does anyone have any other liaison updates that they would like to share? All right. So next is a school supplies drive discussion. So Ellie could not be here today, unfortunately, but she's made progress with a school supplies drive discussion, school supplies drive that she would like to see happen at Rep Kate's recycling day event in I believe in June. Yeah. So she prepared a script for me to read from today to share thus far what she has come up with. So this is what Ellie sent me to present. Okay, so hello, I'm not able to make today's meeting, but I have some projects I need feedback on in order to be able to move forward with them. If you could review these questions and get some information back to me, it would be greatly appreciated. She is hoping that we could organize a school supplies drive at Rep Kate's June 14th Sustainability Day event. Mrs. McLeod said that we could have a donation box at the high school and talk to department heads about getting school supplies from classrooms. Brian Schmidt from the Waltons said that they usually keep usable materials and they could also use more of the basic supplies. I'm going to reach out to their secretary at the start of May to see what specific materials they might need. Mr. Carter from the Woodville said to reach out in June so he can send a message out to the staff. Mr. Liberty from the Dolbear said they usually keep all their materials for next year and that their programs don't have a need for materials we collect. She would love for us to officially vote on doing this drive and discuss what steps to take in terms of officially making this drive and then promoting it. She thinks it would be great to do donation boxes in the schools where we could collect at the end of the year as they fill up. That way we wouldn't need to go around to classrooms individually. As stated, Brian Schmidt said that the Walton could use extra supplies, so we should try to meet their needs and any others that come up. Excess supplies we collect could go to mass teacher resources. She's linked the group there. And additionally, we could use a table at the June 14th event to collect supplies from individuals and the wider community. And then she also has, so I'm just gonna stop there because then she has a separate piece. Are there any comments, questions on this initiative? Yeah.
We put out like a survey to ask like the teachers what they would want for like supplies.
I think that's what Ellie, I know she didn't say it here, but I think that,
I was
Yeah.
not sure if it was like just the secretary was gonna ask, or if we would just put out a survey for like all the
yeah,
teachers.
that might be beneficial, I think. So I'll talk to Ellie to see if she wants to put a survey together to ask like the teacher specifically what supplies are most in demand, just so that way, because I kind of get your point, to make sure that we're getting supplies that they need and not just like any supply. So yeah, I think that would be good. Anyone else have any comments, questions? Oh yeah, Laurel.
I like the idea of like having boxes around like the school. I think that maybe even in like the middle school, like you never know who like what kids might have extra materials that they don't need. Like I know at least for me, I have tons of school supplies in my basement just sitting around that's never probably going to be used. So like having a place where I could put that and it could be like reused for those kids at the Woodville who said they needed more school supplies, and for the teachers, I think that the boxes are like a good idea to have and to fill up throughout the school year.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I know like at the end of the year, at least my eighth graders always throw away all of their stuff, which doesn't need to be thrown away. So I've started keeping it like binders and stuff like that. So that might even be something like on the last day of school or the last week of school to be mindful of like having some place where kids can put their supplies that they're not going to use, because 9 out of 10 times I just steal everything because they throw it away if not. So like paper, they didn't use notebooks, binders. So I don't know if, I mean, I would assume at an elementary school that doesn't happen, but maybe at the high school, middle school level, that might be something to be mindful of, like to have a space where kids can put things as opposed to putting them in the trash.
Yeah, just like making it as convenient as that. Yes, so that way so that way those materials can be like kept and reused. Yeah, that would be good. I like that idea.
So for like the last few weeks of school, like 3-ish weeks or so, maybe a good timeline for us to
Yeah.
put those boxes.
Would it be like all unused school supplies, or like if there's markers that were used a couple times and then like could those go in there too?
That's a good question. I'll follow up with Ellie about that just to know like how used the supply should be. Because I think it would vary depending on so I'll get back to her, like if the school specifically want like new supplies, or if they're okay with used supplies. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Yeah.
I know the seniors get out before everybody else. So if you're putting the boxes out like the last couple of weeks, the seniors might not be able to like get them. So maybe the high school box goes out first, just a little earlier, and then the middle school one.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's a good point to consider. Yeah. Yes.
So wait, did she say that these boxes are only gonna be in the main office area, or would they be in like, I don't know, like the library or other areas too?
That's a good question. I can bring that up with her,
Okay.
to determine like where exactly the boxes would be.
Alright.
Yeah, because I get your point. It'd probably
Yeah.
be better to have them spread out
Yeah.
to make them
mhm,
more convenient to students.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions, comments? Okay, so I think, so what we would have to do now is to motion to actually pursue this school supplies drive and then to have a table at Rep. Kate's event. So I motion for the Wakefield Youth Council to pursue a school supplies drive for the Wakefield Public Schools and wider community, and to have a table at Rep. Kate's June 14th Sustainability Day event. Do I have a second?
I second.
Again,
Is there any discussion? All right, I'm going to call down the roll. Myself, yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Declan?
Yes.
Nathaniel? He's not on the Zoom anymore. Parker?
Yes.
Jonathan?
yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
And Olivia?
Yes.
All right, so that passes unanimously. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So, does anyone else have any comments or questions before I move on to Ellie's next piece? Okay. So the other piece that she wanted to discuss was a carpooling raffle competition. I think that we had previously spoken about this at one of our previous meetings, talking about carpooling and yeah. So the idea would be to carpool to or from school, send a picture to the youth council, and then each photo gets you a ticket into a raffle for a Cravings gift card. We could also do an additional prize for the most times carpooling, or the most people in a carpool if we wanted. If we agree that we should get 2 to 3 gift cards from Cravings, the Environmental Sustainability Committee has volunteered to fund them. She would love to help voting on whether the gift cards should come from Cravings, and if not, where they should come from, as well as how many prizes there should be and what the timeline of this should be. Considering when we are planning this, if we're able to start the day after April break and go for the length of May, she thinks that would be able to make the greatest difference. She's drafted an Instagram post for the competition, included below. It would then include timeline and prize amount. but she wanted to express that in advance. Okay, so does anyone have any comments on that? So Ellie specifically looking for feedback about timeline and then like prizes that we could do with this, and then like the merits of doing something, a program like this. Yeah.
I think it's a really good idea, just like, again, to promote, like, not like carpooling, obviously, but I think it might be a little difficult just with, like, I know a lot of kids are on their JOL. Like, I'm on my JOL, so I can't drive other people, and I will be until past the end of the school year. So that might be, I mean, it does eliminate like around half-ish of the student drivers. So that's just like something to consider, that it's not gonna, it might not be as many people as she's anticipating.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, and also we don't want people necessarily like
Yeah.
encouraging people to join off their JOLs. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I'll bring that up with Ellie. And yeah,
Doesn't have to be like teen drivers either. It can be just like parents like driving their kids to school.
does anyone else have any comments, questions? Yeah, Parker?
Like maybe for the length, like are you asking about the timeline for like how long this competition would last for?
Yeah.
Or so maybe we try and make it a bit longer, so like maybe there's more of an effect. Like I feel like it'd be more beneficial if there's a longer timeline, because then there'll be a better effect possibly.
Okay, yeah. Do we think like the month of May? I think that's what Ellie suggested. Do we think that that would be like a good timeline?
Yes.
Because that would also leave us with the seniors still
Yeah.
here, so maybe that probably would work best. Yeah, Declan?
Who gets, does it say there who gets entered? Because if you're carpooling, then there's multiple people. Does everybody in the picture get entered or just the person who sends it in?
Question. I will ask Ellie that.
Probably the person who sends it in.
Probably the person, okay.
Because I know me and Ellie talked about this previously.
Okay. Yes.
And then would it be like an every day that you carpool, you send a picture and you get entered into the raffle, or is it just like a one and done, you carpool one day and now you can win it, but like you have the same chance as everyone else? Or like if you carpool every single day of May, now you're in like what, 25 times?
Yeah.
Question. So it would be, there would be two prizes. So one of them would be, the most carpools. But also there's just a general like raffle, for that too. But there would be like a separate, like it's basically two prizes. So one of them is just like a raffle for just carpooling, and then another one is like
For how many times?
for how many times you carpool. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any comments or questions on this? Okay, so since the financial considerations for funding any gift card, Ellie said would be covered by the Environmental Sustainability Committee, and since we're not approving any specific policy, I do not believe that we have to take a vote on this. Unless Liz, am I right on that? I think.
You're asking if you need to take a vote on whether or not to do the carpool incentive?
Yeah, because since the financial considerations are covered by the ESC, does that, or,
You took a vote on whether or not to do a donation drive, did you?
oh yeah, so you're right, yeah, so we should probably take a vote on this, yeah. Okay, so do I have a motion to pursue the carpool competition program?
A motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Yeah, I'm going to call down the roll. Myself, yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Declan?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
And Olivia?
Yes.
All right, so that passes unanimously. So I will bring some of these questions that we had back to Ellie just to make sure that they're resolved before Ellie starts working with the ESC to get, and Michaela, to get this stuff sent out on social media. But yeah, thank you everyone for the discussion. All right, so next on the agenda is youth council applications. So applications opened up on April 1st. The deadline is May 2nd. If you are not a senior, you are eligible to reapply. I strongly recommend all of you who are not seniors to reapply. Definitely continues your impact in Wakefield, opens you up to even more expertise, more experience, and can translate into one of the positions at the top of the youth council, which all of which will be open next year because they're all currently occupied by seniors. So just to provide some updates on where we stand with application promotion specifically, announcements will begin tomorrow at the high school. Mr. Collins sent them into the Galvin administration. A flyer has been prepared. If some individuals from the high school are willing to take some of these flyers to hang them up at school, that would be really helpful to start getting that out there. And same thing goes with the middle school. And then Michaela is in charge right now of creating like some of the graphics and social media posts to continue getting out there through May 2nd. And I would just, as a general rule, just to encourage all of you to spread this information by word of mouth to your friends, any family members who might be interested and eligible to join the youth council, reposting some of the stuff that we post on our social media pages. And I will also communicate this information not only with the public schools in Wakefield, but also the private schools that have Wakefield residents in them, just to make sure that we're trying to get a diverse group of students for the next term. Does anyone have any questions about applications, promotion, anything of related to that? Okay. Seeing none, we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is a youth council budget update. This is brief, thankfully. So we have received confirmation from Town Council Chair McLean and Mr. Mayo that we will have the other items covered in the Town Council budget. So that's talking about like a youth council retreat, any expenses that come from the events that we hold, and any like promotion, like event promotion that we do. So all of that will be all the money that we request to be covered has confirmed that they will be covering those expenses. So that kind of settles the budget for fiscal year 26. Does anyone have any questions on the budget? Okay. So next I'm going to hand it over to Thomas to provide an update and approval of the March 13th meeting minutes.
Great. So our previous meeting, we talked about, or we heard from Nico Moody about the Commission on Disabilities, the Inspire Cafe poetry night. We were planning that. I think we're still in the process of planning that. Then we heard from Parker on the Board of Health, a few updates. We heard from a couple other people. We heard about the budget, which we've now received confirmation on, which is good. We talked about the Communications and Outreach Subcommittee, which was disbanded in favor of one person taking charge of social media. And then we assigned the research on the Voting Age Reduction Act, which we heard from today. Talked about youth council applications, and then that was about it.
All right, thank you, Thomas. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
A motion.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
I'm going to call down the roll. Myself, yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Declan?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
And Olivia?
Yes.
All right. That passes unanimously. So as for our next meeting date, I'll send out another when to meet. Most likely it will be in mid-May. And we'll make sure that we get the items that we discussed to make sure that they're done before that next meeting. So whenever that ends up being, we'll make sure that we have items to report on based on like voting age reduction and the other items that we've discussed today. Does anyone have any questions on the next meeting? Does anyone have anything else to discuss before we end the meeting? Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
A second.
I'm going to call down the roll. Myself, yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Declan?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
Michaela?
Yes.
And Liv?
Yes.
All right, so that passes unanimously. Thank you everyone for coming today. Thank you.